Hey, hello, welcome to the show. It's me, John Park, and we're here in John Park's workshop for another edition of, yes, that's right, John Park's workshop. So thanks for stopping by. Thanks for people jumping over in the chat over on YouTube. Hello to Dave Odessa and Quinman16 and Charles Burniford. Nice to see you all. If you're wondering where the chat is and you're over somewhere like Facebook and it seems awful quiet, I will recommend that you head to our Discord. Look, this is our Discord. Wow, I look very green screen today or something. My lighting is very bright back there and weird. But yeah, we'll deal with that. It is kind of dark up here. The chat at Discord, you can go over to adafruit.it/Discord, and that'll jump you over to our server. Look for this channel right here, live broadcast chat channel. We got a whole bunch of other channels like general chat and help with CircuitPython, help with audio, show and tell, 3D printing. But the place to be during a live stream is this right here, the live broadcast chat channel. Who stopped by? Hey, C. Grover. Hi, Paul. Hello, Thin Man. John Nodge. Welcome. DJ Devon 3. Howdy. David WA90NY. Hello. Starman. Hi. Hey, Seattle Seamus. Dude Man Bro. Yay. Good to see you all. What is going on here today is, someone asked, what do I have on my plate? I've got a few different things going on. So we have a coupon code for you. I'm going to show you that so you can save some money in the store and maybe some recommendations on some things to get. I've got a little recap from the Tuesday show. I've got a CircuitPython Parsec. I've got some sample-related stuff, some music sample-related stuff for this right here, the Fruit Jam. And you may have seen last night on Show and Tell, I've got some sample playback and some synth I/O happening there. I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the sample-based stuff, wave files, how that's working, and how the code is structured a bit for this project I'm working on, the Larsio Paint music program. And the teardown. I've got a little bit of a sort of product teardown I wanted to do. I threatened to do this a while ago. I was going to do it off the cuff, I think, and there were no screws, so we're going to have to get in there with some spudgers and heat and violence or something to open up some little pixel LED things that I wanted to look inside of and maybe come up with a way to upgrade them and mod them. So starting off, I promised, hey, look, that's your coupon code, Sampler. That will get you 10% off today in the store over in the Adafruit shop. Sampler. That's it, Sampler. Go over to the Adafruit shop. It's that right there. Adafruit.com is the Adafruit shop. And if you head there, you can see we got some new products. We have some little USB game controllers there. You get 45 cents off of that if you want it low price. We got a little mini chiclet keyboard. If you click on View All New Products, you'll see some new soldered versions of some things, assembled versions of breakouts and feathers. Excuse me, a Pico 2W with a header on it. That one's ready to roll, ready to go. Stick it in a breadboard and off you're running. And much more. So head over to Adafruit.com and find some stuff you want. Don't forget to type in sampler in the coupon code slot on the way out. You'll save 10%. And that's good until midnight tonight, East Coast time. I'm going to get a drink of water. And let's see, next up after that, I've got this show on Tuesdays, which is the product pick of the week. And during that show, I like to give you a deep discount and a demo and some other things that begin with D. Here is a 1-minute edit. The Sparkle Motion Mini. It is an ESP32 WLED friendly NeoPixel LED driver board. One of the top features, I think, of this one is built-in I2S microphone for sound reactive projects. And what you'll see here is I've got my Sparkle Motion Mini right there. I'm going to press the user button, which turns it on. Yes, that's right, running some audio reactive software. The microphone is just kind of hanging out down there. That's where the Sparkle Motion is connected to some strips of NeoPixels. And you can see it's doing audio reactive coolness. There is my product pick of the week this week. It's the Sparkle Motion Mini. Wow. All right. I can't get over how green screened I look. I swear this is a real look. It's a real place. I can touch things. It's all real, but my lighting is freaking me out. So let's see. Yeah, let me know what you do with your Sparkle Motion Minis. They're really cool. I'm excited about them. I am becoming more and more of a fan of WLED and that whole format for making stuff, especially stuff that you want to give to someone if they're going to use it as a gift, if they're going to put it in their room, if they're going to use it as a prop or a cosplay thing. Very friendly format, and the Sparkle Motion Mini makes it nice and easy. So that was product pick. Next up, let's do one of these here, CircuitPython Parsecs. CircuitPython Parsec. Okay, for the CircuitPython Parsec today, I wanted to talk about creating LED segments using list slices instead of loops. That's a lot of L's. What you'll see here, I'm going to go ahead and scroll down in my code. The top here is some basic setup. I have a 64 pixel, it's an 8x8 NeoPixel grid there. I'm just putting a diffuser over it so that you can see the lights a little better on camera. I've set up my strip as a 64 pixel strip. I've set up some preset colors here that we'll use in a second. And what I'm doing in the main loop of the code is sort of a traditional way of going about and segmenting off these LEDs. So if I relaunch the code here, you'll see I've got a set of 8 strips, 8 little segments inside of the one NeoPixel strip, 8x8, that I'm lighting up using these little for loops. So I'm saying for I equals 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, let's light it up red. Then I do another loop, and that's going to be 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and so on. So I just have to iterate through these to individually light them up. There is a much more elegant way that you can address these segments of LEDs, and that is by using list slices in CircuitPython. So if I go ahead and comment that out and bring this in here. I'm going to save. In this version, I'm just lighting them all up, so it's not blinking all the time. But it's doing the same thing in a single line instead of a little loop that has 2 lines in it. So here I'm saying pixels is a list, and I can talk to a segment of that list or a slice of that list by saying 0:8. So that's going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's up to that last number. And then I'm setting the color to be something multiplied by the number of individual LEDs that I'm talking to, or the number of individual pieces inside of that slice. So then you can see the second set here turns green by saying 8 through 16. Next set, 16 through 24, is blue, and so on and so forth. If we want to add in the pause here, I'm trying to keep this not too loopy and complicated. Of course, you could optimize the heck out of this and probably turn it into a single line. But what I want to do right here is just add in these little pauses so that you can see that light up each row, same way it was when we had the full loop going on. And so you can use this all over the place. You can. The reason I did this was I was inspired by segments inside of WLED. You could run patterns on them separately and so forth. There's a lot you can do with this, but I think it's a nice way of looking at what are list slices and how do they relate to little discrete chunks of numbers in our bigger list, which is this set of 64 LEDs. And that is how you can segment up your LED strips using list slices instead of loops inside of CircuitPython. And that is your CircuitPython Parsec.
CircuitPython Parsec.
All right, hope that was helpful. I've done a few things with some list segments, or list slices, I should say, before, but I liked the very explicit, especially before I go and add those pauses in there, that very explicit, okay, I can see I'm just talking about little chunks of numbers of things when this main list is the full 64. John Nudge says it's perfect for coordinating the lights on your 1970s disco dance floor. For sure. Okay, let's move on. What are we talking about next? Let's jump into some of this Larsio paint stuff here. I'm going to unplug that Metro and NeoPixel strip there. I'm going to plug in my Fruit Jam, which is over here. I'll power that up, and it should display up here on this monitor. I'm going to turn the volume down at first when we first talk about this. And 1 second here. Let's take a look. Yeah, so I think you can see that well enough and should be able to hear well enough. This is something I demoed last night on the Show and Tell show, which is if I come over here, explain what I have. This is the RP2350 Fruit Jam. What I'm doing, you could do entirely on the Metro RP2350, which is host a mouse over the USB host port, and I'm getting PWM audio out of this, so I'm just using 2 pins to send out PWM audio. It's a very minimal, I don't even have a circuit, I don't even have a RC circuit on there, so it's noisy and scratchy and doesn't sound as good as it will when I start either putting in a proper circuit in there, resistor capacitor, or go over to I2S audio out with a proper DAC. And then we have you can use the HSTX output on the RP2350 Metro to do DVI video out over an HDMI shaped cable, in this case running up to this monitor here. Now if I click on any spot on this music staff here, you can see I've got a little, in fact, you know what, let me see if I can, I'm going to point this camera over here. Let's Let's switch over. Yeah, let me brighten this up. I'm going to zoom in on this camera, and I'll tilt that monitor a little bit too, so you can see a little better what I'm talking about. Okay. So you should be able to see, there you go. You can see I've got Lars, little pixel art Lars, for some reason he's wearing orange pajamas, on a music staff. And when I place him, you'll hear, I'm going to watch the volume here, you'll hear a music note of him saying meow. Right, so that's a little preview sound of a wave file. And I've actually created a set of about 1.5 octaves of short little individual wave files that are pitched appropriately for the music staff. If I play this back right now, you'll hear him making his little meow sounds. And I can go and add them in as we... I'm going to stop that and clear it, and I'll actually just do a little... The timing's a little wacky. All right, so that is a single sample that I started with. And by the way, let me know in the chat if you could hear that well enough to at least understand what's going on. I started off with a single sample, and it's actually one I'll replace this with something I make myself, but I sampled that off of the Mario Paint music. So there's a cat icon. There is a sample, baseline sample on that that's an F4. And so I started from that, and then there's a couple of ways to go about this. So if you have a single sample of something, a recording of something, you can play it in different pitches with processing in real time. So you can have software that is capable of pitch shifting and time stretching in real time. That's something that a lot of modern samplers do. So you would just start with a single sample. 1 second here. And a second option is to, if you're able to, sample the original source at different pitches. So you can do it in semitones, like chromatically, just sample every note that you can play. You can do every third or every fifth, and then let software figure it out in between. So some samplers will work pretty well that way. The farther you get from the original sample pitch-wise, the worse it's going to sound in many cases if you're doing real-time processing. However, if you can process and render things in advance, which is what I've done here, it doesn't matter if it takes a few seconds to take the pitch, shift it, fix the sound so it doesn't change lengths. That's something computers can do really well now. And that's what I've done. I've taken one, I've then made essentially a sample pack, a sample set that are repitched versions of that original one, and saved them all off as tiny little individual wave files, and that's what's being played. So when I go and place this B3, that was actually a slowed down or pitch shifted downward. So it was the C, D, E, F was the original. So those, let's take a look at a window here. Let me add, is that a good way to do that? No, let me add a capture window or two here. So let's do a new screen capture of, yeah, let's do it from a window. So let me start with, do this Finder window, and then we'll take a look at the terminal and a shell program I used to generate these things in a batch. So if you take, I'm laughing as DJ Devon3 says, around here, never trust someone in orange pajamas. Lars Jailbreak sounds like a good game. I agree. So if we look at this Finder window that I have on my Mac, if I can find it, if I hover over one of these notes, let's go to the meows again. Meows, notes, music, note 9, F4. So I'm going to hit space. So that just does a little quick operating system preview thing. If I open that up, I can arrow through these. And it's listed alphabetically, so we're hearing the little octaves just based on the naming I did. So those are the samples that I have over on the Fruit Jam. Are those the reduced ones? I think so. So it's saying that they're about 6K each. So they're pretty small. These are mono. I think the sample rate is 1125 hertz, and the bit depth is 16-bit. I think that's what I ended up on, and I'll put this stuff up in the guide. Here's another one. So if let's switch back to main cam here for a second. Let me clear these. So here's another one. This is the bass, like a bass guitar sound, also sampled from the Mario Paint, and I'll replace this with something royalty-free. This one, actually, I have a bug right now where we won't get a sample, preview sample when I lay the note down, which is actually how the original Mario Paint works. It doesn't let you know. You have to just kind of place them by eye and then listen to it and change them. So it's not bad. You know, I'm only doing an octave and a half. It's not like I'm trying to get 88 keys of pitch shifting. It would probably sound pretty extremely terrible if we took one sample and tried to really re-pitch shift it a huge amount. But for this constrained octave and a half that we've got, it's not bad. If we take a look over here in the screen captures, so these I'm calling the heart bass. This is the original note here. I'm going to turn that volume up just a bit. And that's what we have to work with there. This is actually a little bit larger range than the Mario Paint. I think I gave us a couple extra notes on the top and the bottom. I also made this to work with eighth notes instead of quarter notes. Obviously, it's a lot of code to try to build we're not making a full DAW here. I may not even give you option to hold notes longer. That'd be some exercise left to the user. Otherwise, I'll spend months and months making this thing. But the basic idea there is just to do a few measures. Again, in Mario Paint, it was a scrolling. I think you got 24 bars. I don't want to touch that because I think we'll start to run into performance issues without really hardcore coding. So that's the sample playback stuff. And what I want to talk about now is the way this is organized a little bit and how those are made. So if let me add another screen capture here. One moment, and we'll use the terminal window. Where are you, terminal window? You're way up at the top. Okay. All right, so now if I can find that myself, there we go. Okay, so let's take a look at what we have in here. This is, I've created one folder with the one sample I started with, which is this music note 9. And then I'm running a, sorry, I got distracted by a question from someone. Is the UI done with display I/O? Yes. And is there snapping? Yes. So the cursor is free to move, but the notes snap to eighth notes and the note positions that are available on the staff. So it's not sliding around, it's snapping. Good question, thank you. So in this folder, I've got a original wave file that I start with. And you know what? I'm going to show, let me add Audacity to the mix here. This is, or actually Audition. This is Adobe's version of a sort of a multi-track recording DAW. So let's show that as a window. Yeah, that should work. So this is similar to Audacity or Pro Tools, Logic. Where are you? Audition. There you are. So here you can see I've got my original note that was sampled. And then to generate a pitch shifted sample from this, we can use what they call an effect. So I'm going to go Effects, Time and Pitch, Stretch and Pitch Process. You're not going to see this window, but it's just me typing in the pitch correction I want. So let's do reset this. Here we go. Okay, so I'll do this is a 5 semitone drop, and I'll preview it. Original, 5 semitone drop. So that is able to keep the duration, so we don't end up with like shorter and shorter notes as they get higher pitched, and longer duration notes as they get lower pitched. So that's using the isotope radius algorithm, which is a popular algorithm for this sort of stuff. And so you can go and do this, but to do it for an octave, octave and a half, 2 octaves, you probably don't want to do it one by one like this. And actually, I asked Todd Kurt, my good friend and yours, hey, what's a good method of batch processing this sort of thing? Because I don't want to go and just use a UI over and over again. There may be ways to write Python code or sort of macros inside of Adobe Audition. I don't know it that well. So he said, you know what, you can use the command line tool SOX, S-O-X, which is a sound processing tool on the command line, I think for Linux, Mac. I'm not sure if it's on Windows 2 or maybe it's only Mac. I don't know what it is. But you can brew install SOX, which is quick and fast. From the command line, you can type in SOX, an input file, and the output format that you want, including things like a pitch shift or a sample rate change or number of channels going from stereo to mono. You can do all those things. What I did was I actually created a batch script. So if we look at generate notes.sh, this is what I'm doing. So I have batch file, input file. I'm just hard coding it here. I don't have input to it. I just edit that file name in 2 places when I do this for different samples. An output directory. We make that output directory if it doesn't exist. We tell the user what's going on, batch processing the notes from a low B3 up to a G5. I'm also, since I'm starting from an F4, I also just make a copy of that properly named into the directory so the directory is complete. And then we define in, I was working in semitones, so I said, oh, I'll drop down 5 semitones. SOX works in cents, so there's 100 cents, like penny, 100 cents per semitone. So I've got it taking from the original and going down to the B3 is a negative 600 C4, negative 500. D4, I'm just doing the sort of whole tones on the scale, the easy notes, no sharps, no flats. F4 gets left alone, G4 200, A4, and so on up to a G5, which is 1400 cents or 14 semitones above that original F4. So that's my little list there of the note names and the amount of pitch shifting required. Then for each note in that list, we do some what's the word I'm looking for? Some sort of string comprehension there to figure out how to write the name properly. And then we pick the output file where these are going to go, let the user know what's going on. And then this is the command that matters right here. Socks, whatever the input file was, the output rate, sample rate, which is going to be 11025. 44 kilohertz is a pretty typical, very nice high quality. 48 is super high quality. I've dropped this down quite low. I could probably bump it back up to around 22 and still be fine. And I may do that once I'm going out the I2S amp, but I wanted to get these files super, super small just as I'm working with them initially here. Channels 1, bitrate 16-bit, output file name that we generated based on the original name and the new note name. And then this command flag pitch shift, and the shift is going to be that variable for, let's say we're writing the G4, then it's going to be 2 semitones above, so 200 cents. So that's the shift amount that it gets. Tempo 1 is telling it to stretch this to be the same tempo as the original. And then we write, hey, we've succeeded at that. And so that's how I created this folder here full of sounds. I did this also for the Mario. That's what the Mario head in the original Mario Paint does, which is sort of this little marimba sounding thing. DJ Devon 3 says the bass sound reminds me of Fraggle Rock. Did they use Super Mario Paint? I wonder. So that's how I'm creating those files that I'm using there. And then the last thing related to this, I'll say I'm also, and I demoed this last night, I won't get into it today, I'm also using Synth.io so that I'm going to have, I think, maybe 3 samples, the bass, whatever Lars ends up being, a growl thing, and a drum sample set. Interesting thing about drum sample sets is that rather than worrying about pitching it, probably what I'll do is have the lowest, if I come down here and play something on B3, I'll have that be a kick drum. And maybe if I place it up here on D4, it'll be a snare. So often with drums, you want a drum kit, and I don't want to have to go pick a different cymbal. Instead, I'm just going to base it where on the staff it is. That'll call up different drums, which is often how that works in general MIDI as well. You'll have a channel for drums, usually channel 10, I think. And on that channel, you don't get pitches, you just get different samples or different synth sounds. So I'll probably have a drum, a bass, a Lars, and then maybe 3, I don't think I need all 8 of these and it'll simplify, maybe 3 of these will be Synth.io sounds. So like a PWM square wave, very chiptune Game Boy sounding sound, and then maybe a sine wave for things that are a little calmer, and a triangle wave or something like that. Someone asked a question over in the chat. Can someone share the Adafruit shop link? I'm late to the party. Hey, that's a good reminder that you can, if you're talking about shopping, look at that. Get yourself a discount by using the coupon code SAMPLER today. Where's that shop? That shop is right there. That's just Adafruit.com. That'll take you to the shop. Just go to Adafruit.com. There you go, EKIP. I hope that's helpful. Is your name Peace backwards? Peace. Okay, so so I've just talking about how this is going to be structured. I've got, go back to nothing on the screen. I've got samples, 3-wave samples there. I will mention too, since we're using audio mixer in CircuitPython to essentially play or let us hear the sounds when they're playing, it actually works pretty well to stack them, so we can play chords. We can play polyphony of these samples. So here's my bass. I'll just lay down a few chords here. So it's a little muddy sounding, just kind of partly because it's a bassy sample. It works with Lars too. I've been having some problems. I'm not clearing those out when I try to erase some. All right, so so we're able to play multiple waves at the same time and hear them using the audio mixer, which is pretty great. We can combine that with SynthIO. So if I do play, let's just one of my I'm not sure what the limitations on that are going to be memory-wise. So original Mario Paint was 3 notes. Stacks was your maximum. I seem to be getting away with a lot more than that, which is kind of nice. Oh yeah, DJ Devon 3. This is Cat Chorus THX style, please. This is reminiscent of Cat Piano. I just remember the Meowsic Cat Piano. So with SynthIO and wave files, and I'm also sending out MIDI notes. Right now, I think maybe just one of these channels sends out MIDI notes. That's how I was practicing, working on this at first, so I demoed it first. There are better MIDI sequencers out there, so maybe I'll ditch that entirely. It might not be worth having that in there, or it could be an easy add-on for someone. But what especially because I at first was like, okay, I want my code to do this user interface and this note management, what notes are playing at this current frame of time. And then I have these different methods of playback. Some are SynthIO, some are wave. It was getting hairy. So it was a huge, long, single monolithic piece of code. And on someone's suggestion, I'm going to show in a future show how I've been developing this using Claude, which is a large language model. And Claude is really great for small Arduino and CircuitPython kinds of things that I do. Lady Ada likes to use it for creating libraries for sensors and things like that. But I reached a point where it was unhappy with code. I think anything over than like 600 lines of code, it starts to say, you know what? I'm not good at dealing with all this all at one time because you're hogging up my resources. So I decided to break it apart, which is, I think, good practice anyway. I'm not a coder by training. I'm just a hack, but I am well enough aware that code tends to be broken up into modular pieces so that you can work on multiple people working on different parts at a time, and your code is not so fragile. So I had Claude break this up. I said, okay, what I want to have is like a main program, code.py or main.py, which will then talk to these other modules and classes that have just graphics, dealing with the UI, cursor, note placement, sound. And so that's what I have now. If we take a look actually at this terminal, no, let's look at that Finder view actually. If I come up a level, this right here, and I'm just doing like a very primitive backup system in those code folders up there. But this is what's on the CircuitPy drive right now. So I have a samples directory that's got the samples that we're playing back. I have a sprites directory, so there's my Lars, there's my heart, there was a Mario I was using before. He's been replaced by Lars. Shh. And then these are the individual pieces of code. So we've got the main.py, which calls the note manager, the sound manager, and the UI manager. If we look at, let's look at this sound manager. So let me head over to Z here. So this is the sound manager. This is actually the one that's open right now on the board. I should probably grab the one off of my drive. But the things it does. So we've got USB MIDI and serial Adafruit MIDI here, so we can do any of our MIDI output stuff that I'm doing. We have the audio core, PWM I/O, audio bus I/O, and audio mixer, and those are all things I'm using to do the sound level mixing, output over PWM, eventually output over I2S. I'm bringing in synth I/O here, board for some pin definitions, some math functions are used, time is used, array is used, and then right now I'm just doing MIDI note on and MIDI note off, so those are imported. And then we have some different, we have this class here, Sound Manager, and we have different functions inside of this. One is setting up my audio output, this is either PWM or eventually that'll be I2S for the onboard DAC. And we have the mixer set up here, so we're able to play the multiple channels that we're playing at different volumes. Some of the synth I/O stuff is much, much louder than these waves, so I'm able to balance some of that this way. And here you can see some of our sample loading. So just a minute ago, I was showing how I used that batch script and socks to generate the wave files. Here they are. So I'm just putting them all in that one sample directory named music note 9. That's the meow, B3 to G5. And then our second one right now, this is the music note 16, B3 to G5. And then I'll have a third one in there for the set of drum sounds that we can use, 12 drum sounds or whatever it is. Then all of this is sample setup for synth I/O, and I have some different wave types that I'm playing back right now. So you can see here we say, okay, we're going to do a pulse wave, a square wave, a saw wave, a triangle wave, and a sine wave. So those are all right now these different synth I/O sounds that I have. And then we have functions for things like how to play a note, how to start and stop a note, play the note at a given position. I have optimization coming. It needs it, but right now I have just sort of separately peeled off if it's the Lars note, which is what I'm calling that first sample slot, or the heart note, which is that second sample slot, then it's playing these differently than anything else, which is just synth I/O at this point. How to play chords, how to play multi-samples. This is the synth note, including some envelopes, and how to stop notes when we play them, and how to deal with exceptions. So those are just the sound manager, and then I have UI manager, which is actually the biggest piece of code right now, which I'd like to break that up also into a couple of pieces to make it a little easier to deal with, and then the note manager. So that's how that is structured currently. McQueenman16 asks, does Claude have a PC download? I am using a desktop. Yeah, you can use it just in a browser, or you can use Claude Desktop, which seems like a browser window. It seems identical, but it at least gets its own application icon. I don't know if there's other differences. And you can also use Claude as a command line integrated tool, especially if you're integrating it with other applications, which is how Lady Ada's been working on it. If you check out some of the Desk of Lady Ada's, she's been showing that. So that have to call out whatever's going on here with Dick Van Dyke. I like it. That is how the what's his name, Larsio paint music is going right now, and I'm going to try to pare things down, simplify some stuff, cut a couple of synth. It's too many synth voices on there right now, and get this out there because you can run it right now on a RP2350 Metro. You'll be able to run it on the Fruit Jam when that comes out. And I'd like people to take a look at it, make improvements, suggestions, and run with that. So that is the state of the Larsio paint music. Phew. Okay, hey, last thing I mentioned, I want to go over here, over to this place. I'm going to fix this camera because I want to go over to the workbench. Oh, speaking of Lars. And take a look at these little gizmos. In fact, I'll go to make that the small view. Yeah, let's take a look at these things. So these are, they're called Pixel Pals, I think. I'm going to bring up my Discord here so I'm aware of the conversation. So these are called Pixel Pals. Here's a little Mega Man one. Here's a Super Mario Brothers 3 one. That's what they called it specifically. And they're really cute little pixel art. I think they're probably accurate, one-to-one. They're licensed. They're probably accurate one-to-one representation of the pixels. I think Mario's like 24 by 16 in the game. In Super Mario Brothers 3. So they take 2 batteries, which they drain. This has got nothing going on other than it'll light up and it will stay lit up until the batteries are dead. That is all the functionality they managed to pack into there, which is a little sad. So that's Mario there. Here is Mega Man. And they're really bright. They're not, let's see, can I? Oh darn, I don't have, yeah, I can't adjust this camera's exposure right now. They're not as blown out in real life. I see color, see much more saturated color on them in real life. The face has beige on it, and tan, and then some white for the eyes. But that's what they do. I got this one recently, which is a similar kind of idea. It's a little Minecraft block with glowing something ore. But ignoring that, let's take a look at these. So I've been wanting to dig into one of these to see what's possible with it if we wanted to add some energy saving, deep sleep, with a different microcontroller, different maybe RGB LEDs to enhance the colors, add some blinking, and so on. And I wanted to see how they have them set up for if they're doing any like light blocking and light pipe stuff. But I think it's all one color of LED bleeding around, so probably not. And there are no screws in it. So I looked online very briefly. I saw someone just take a chisel to it and pry it open. I think they said there's just a little bit of glue that wasn't too hard to pop. We'll find out if that's true. I'm going to start with one of these spudgers. These are kind of nice, these little iFixit prying spudgery guys. And there's a pretty distinct lip in here where the 2 parts are. Oh, I can hear it. Yeah, okay, it might not be super strong glue, or at least not right there, it's not. It's a diamond block, says DJ Devon 3. This is a diamond block, thank you. I did not pre-try this before the show, so this is all genuine, live, hopefully not stabbing myself in the finger. Let me get a large chisel to try to pry with and see how that goes. I may put this in a little bit of a clamp for some safety here. Can you see that? Let me zoom out a little bit. Yeah, actually having some strength but a thin tip on the chisel works a little better than that flexible pick. I do like to sometimes leave behind some little picks like that for keeping it separate. Oh, it doesn't want to. All right. Sorry, I'm blocking all the light on that. And I'm scarring up the little plastic there a little bit. I'm not too worried about it. I don't think this is a rare, priceless item. Hopefully not. I didn't check eBay first. Hopefully these weren't like some weird Comic-Con exclusive worth $1,000. If they are, don't tell me. One of the paradoxes to doing this sort of thing live on air is it's always a lot more awkward to do it in front of a camera because of the angles you're going to do things at versus how you'd really do that. Use the diamond block. Diamond cuts anything. Let's see if I can get this one started up here. Break the seal. Quinman16 also says, diamond ore block from Minecraft. I am not super Minecraft literate, it's true. Make sure I wasn't missing a screw in there, but it doesn't look like I am. What is happening there? It's as if they didn't want me in there. What are you hiding? There's a major blob there that won't go. Please don't aim the chisel at your hand. This is such excellent advice. Thank you. Oh, there we go. There's no cheating this. You just have to kind of methodically. ECAP says there's probably a RP2040 feather in there they don't want you to know. All right, look, I mostly didn't point the chisel at my hand. Oh, look, hey, nicely, yeah, look at that. So they did a nice job with, point the light in there. Yeah, so they have fully opaque black plastic where they need it. Some little black separation lines between them too. So yeah, that helps with the definition, those little grids. Like that. And I don't need this extra light here. Now you can see what's inside. I'm gonna dim some lights here a little bit. Sorry for the wiggling camera for a moment while that's going to be a lot easier to see. There you go. Okay. So what do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13? 12. 12 LEDs on there. Resistors scattered around. It's a little inductor to probably boost the 2 AAA batteries it takes. That could be 12 that it's using with those in series, maybe. I'll get a meter out later and check and see. And yeah, that board is screwed down. Let's take that out. I'm going to see if I have an available Phillips. It'll work well for that. Yes. This little set that I'm using over here has a lot of tri-wing heads on it too because of Nintendo repair stuff, and it's actually kind of difficult sometimes to know if you're looking at a little Phillips bit or a tri-wing. Voltage booster says, thank you. Voltage booster says Cedar Grove maker. I like that it's a little Mega Man shaped PCB. It's not like they just glued stuff around and air wired it like some cheap stuff that I sometimes open up. That PCB may be stuck in there because I think it's just soldered directly to the battery. Oh no, wait, okay. So it looks like what we're screwed into is just the back plate. Did I miss a screw or anything? I don't want to snap this. There we go. I think that was just a little bit of heat and maybe glue, maybe not glue. Okay, so there's there's our switch, there's our battery contacts. It probably can't be pulled out without removing those battery springs. Those slide out sometimes. Yeah, that's a good point, DJ Devon 3. Don't see white PCBs in commercial stuff that much. Maybe it's for more reflection of the light, I think. Yeah, you find them like bulbs, any of the LED bulbs, they always have a white PCB, and I bet that's the thinking there. It's just a little bit of reflection of light out the direction you want it to go. Let's open up a bench hook. John Nodge says I should be using that, and I'm guessing that's a incredibly good idea, so I don't stab myself with a chisel. So let's see if that'll come off easily. Sometimes the spring is like kind of slid down over a little captive hook thing. I bet it is, but I'll take a little more care with that with some magnifiers on. I'm not going to just blindly pull it out. Yeah, I don't think I'll get the PCB out until I deal with that stuff because it's connected into the battery holder back here. But yeah, you can see it, neat little PCB, Mega Man shaped. And I wouldn't mind trying to make my own little PCB that drops in there, especially for Mario here, that could do some little smarter stuff. Maybe some RGB LED stuff, some blinking, some fading, and most of all, powering it down so that it doesn't just drain the batteries. Because once I did that 2-3 times, I was kind of done putting new batteries in these things. All right, let's fire it up with it still opened up like this for a little blinding. Yeah, very bright. You can see the colors a lot better now because it's further away. This is my dimming method there. Okay. Well, thanks for joining me on the teardown there, and thanks for the advice on not stabbing myself with a chisel. I do actually appreciate that, and I should be a little safer than I was. Todd suggests that the Mario one has to have a little speaker. I say, Todd said that the Mario one should have a little speaker so it says, "It's a me, Mario." All right. Yeah, colored LEDs could help the effect. I like that idea too, John Nudge. Sorry, I was not checking the YouTube chat there, so let's see. Any other questions there? Xiaoxizi1 says, nice project regarding the Larsio paint music. Would it be possible to bake the notes with the directory name as Meow A4 or Mario F3? I think I follow, and yeah, baking note naming in with them I think is a good idea instead of just calling it music note. That might be a nice thing. Also, having my code just grab the proper WAV files out of a directory based on directory naming, and shorter names could be nice. I like that idea. Let's see. Heat up the glue was a, yes, you were probably yelling that at me. That would have been a good idea. Just a little, I have a hot air gun sitting over there. I could have heated that up a little. That would be good. Mike Jones, they're hiding effort. It takes effort to design something that snaps together and can be taken apart easily. Yeah, it is cheaper to do this because they don't really need anyone going in there. String of lights with no PCB, 1 resistor, 3 AA batteries. Yeah, you'll find that. I think when I did the Ouija board project a few years ago, it was no PCB. That would be a big PCB, so it was just air-wired enamel, like magnet wire, with just scraping off where they needed to, and hot glue. So yeah, you'll definitely find it. This is nice that there's a real PCB in there. All right, I think that's going to do it. Before I go, I will mention again that that's a tiny version of me in the corner, but that's what I wanted, which is our coupon code. So if you want to go buy some cool stuff over on the Adafruit shop, then save 10% today until midnight at East Coast time. Tonight you can get 10% off with the coupon code sampler. You'll just type that in the coupon code slot on your way out during checkout. And go find some neat things. All right, I'm gonna run. Hey, thanks everyone so much for coming and hanging out with me. I'm John Park. I have no holes in my hands from chisels. Whew. I appreciate you coming by. I will see you next time, and come on by tomorrow for a deep dive with Scott. I think the plan is a Scott deep dive. I could be mistaken. It may be Foamy Guy. And if anyone knows, type that in the chat. We should have some Desk of Lady Ada this weekend and other videos, and then we start again anew next week. So have a great weekend. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye. Thank you.